What's up, baseheads? Let me tell you the difference between the bad things that happen at Slamology. I put a video up of all the good things, man, and the good things outweigh the bad things. Like I said, I haven't been to Slamology since 2019, and it was good to come back. I love the location, even though stuff was far away from each other. I still loved it because I've seen a whole lot of people I didn't see in years. I met some people I've only seen on YouTube, and they met me. I met some followers that follow me on YouTube, and followers, period, has been following me in car audio, even on Facebook. Followers that's been following my build since day one. You know what I mean? Like, guys that like my build, they really like it. I got a lot of attention down there with this old school 1984 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royale. I got a lot of compliments on my car and yada, 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 man. So, you know what I mean? I mean, massive compliments. Everybody, I had people gather around and ask me a bunch of questions on the build and how it got this way and, you know, who built it. I built it, basically, and yada, 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 man. They really like my car, bro. So I appreciated all the love, and I gave out 7 demos, but I wanted to give out more demos. And I would have given out more demos because I didn't compete on Saturday or Friday night. Let me tell you why. Okay, this Slamology curve stuff has been said by people for years and years and years. You know, guys that have, everything was going good, and then they showed up at Slam and an amp started breaking, or an amp broke, or sub blew, or the car broke down, and it didn't happen until the day that it was coming, they were coming down there or got there. Yada, yada, yada. Because 2019 wasn't the first Slam that I've been to. I've been to a couple, like 2015, 16, and I didn't win nothing. Then, 2019, I did win 3 awards when they was giving out the glass cups with the metal, like, thunder thing in it. You know what I mean? That was the first time I won anything there. And I didn't have no problems those years with anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, so this year, Friday, the 12th, I was to leave at 9 in the morning. And the first thing that went wrong, and I'm not going to blame it on that. Say, oh, I was cursed all the way up here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No. I decided I was going to make my settings all over and take glue, hot glue, and glue the potentiometers, the volume, you know, the gangs on the potentiometers. Because Cass has been talking about it, because the potentiometers on these Brazilian amps don't sit still. Okay, and what I was going to do really is put some super glue on them so they don't ever move ever a damn again. You know, set them at a nice high setting before a clip. And then I'll know where to burp them at and everything. I'll know what numbers to burp them at and yada, yada, yada. I'll just set them right before a clip. There'd be no clipping. And I set my clip gang set on burping. My clip gangs is not set on day-to-day driving. I have my clip gang set on burping. And that's volume 35 on my Kenwood. That's the highest it goes. And so I set it to 35, and then I set my amps to a burp for 35 burping. And I've got 9,985 watts per amplifier with this 190 amp hour C-Max battery here and all of that. Okay, at that setting. My street beat volume is volume 30. So when I'm driving up and down the street, I get it to 30 is when it hit. It depends on which song I'm playing. You know what I mean? Some tracks I can get it up to 31, maybe 32. So technically, where I have my amp set is like 106.5 AC volts. I've had them at 107.5 and they still didn't clip, but they was like giving the speakers too much on certain volumes, you know what I mean? Which means I would have had to turn them down a couple of volumes for burping, and you know what I mean? It's the same scenario. But anyway, I come down here to set these, and I was hot gluing them, but every time I land the hot glue on them, it would move the potentiometer. It would move it again. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, forget it. You know, it would dry, and I would take two and the real skinny screwdrivers, you know, the ones that the screws like eyeglass screws on. I would take two of them and pick it out and pick out the hot glue. Okay, and Thursday evening it got kind of late and I got tired. I was like, oh, I'll come back to this in the morning before I leave and finish it. So that's what I did. And one of the amps, which was the one that sat there, still had the hot glue on it. So me with my stupidity, I had the amps turned on because I was checking the AC volts again. And they were turned on. And while they were on, I was trying to pick the hot glue out of the potentiometer and boom, 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 pop, 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 boom, boom, boom. Smoke, done. That set me back an hour and a half because now I had two extra ones at home because I had 9 in here at one time. So that set me back an hour and a half because I had to take all of those off, all the wire out, get that one off, go home, get the other end, bring it down here, and put it in, and then make sure it was set like all the rest of them. And I said, forget it, I ain't putting nothing on it. And I reset them, put them all back in, and that took some time, and I ended up leaving closer to 11 o'clock in the morning than 9 like I wanted to. And I would have got, if I would have left at 9, I would have got to Kentucky. That's where my hotel was, which was 37 minutes away from Slam. I would have got there at 3 o'clock. But I got there at about 6:30, went up in the hotel, settled in, washed my butt. And I was like, all right, I'm going down to Slam for the Mecca night show. As soon as I went to pull off, my power steering pump bracket broke in half and blew off the belt. Okay, I'm going to show you the bracket that was on here because I designed that bracket and I overthought it, I guess. Okay, here's the bracket right here. See that? This part right here mounted on the side of the block of the engine. So it was like this. If you're looking at the front, it was like this. This part went to the top of the block where the alternator bracket is mounted. And this part right here mounted to the power steering pump. It broke right there. It broke right off there. And I guess it's from years. It was on there for about 3 years. And I guess with the engine shaking and, the pressure put on it and drive and boom, 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 it broke it. And I got to Kentucky. I floated to Kentucky, no problems. Got there, parked, and when I went to leave, broke, and the belt wouldn't stay on. The belt would not stay on. Kept blowing off. I made a phone call, and my boy Cedric Davison was already down there, and he had already registered. And I called him and said, dude, I'm not making it to Slam, bro. I'm out here, but I may not make it home. I knew no mechanics. I knew none of that. And he said, nah, man, we're going to come help you. And him and his boy Will came up. It was sort of late. It was right before Lowe's and all that closed. And I'm sitting there when I found out what had happened. When I took a look, it was broken in half. And that made it to where the power steering pump wasn't going to sit still, so it shook and would shake the belt off. Okay? So we came up. Make a long story short, the next morning we went to Lowe's and got that straight stock bar right there and only went from there down to the power steering. And that thing right there held way better than that old piece ever held. Now that pump won't move. It won't budge. And that was way more simple because we were thinking about a whole lot of stuff, man, a corner bracket and all of that, the big corner brackets and all of that to try to fix that. And we was just staring at it. And I was like, what if we took a bar and just went from there straight down and that was it? I'll just say God gave me that idea. That idea was thrown by God, man, because it worked immediately. It took about 20 minutes to make that bar. Well, everybody, and I had posted what had happened up, and everybody's coming with their doggone hater comments again. Some guys was just giving the advice. I understood that. But a lot of guys was, man, you could just get a smaller belt. Okay, we'd had to drive and find auto zones and advanced auto parts and then buy 5 or 6 different belts and then come up. Yeah, and then what y'all do forget is this car is no longer a 3,500 100-pound car coming off the assembly line with one alternator and one bracket and all of that. And no subs and no amps and no wood and no, that was different when the power steering went, because it ain't the first time it's happened, and I was able to drive, still make it, to my destination when just the power steering pump itself went, but the pulley still worked. But you couldn't turn nowhere. I mean, you couldn't easily turn. I know it's a luxury to have power steering. You're talking to me like I'm a kid again. But in this case, the car weighs 6,000 pounds, and it would have been a whole hell of a lot harder to turn that power steering pump. Yeah, I know if the car's in motion, you can turn. But it would have been hell to pay trying to compete and trying to turn from lane to lane to lane to lane and to lane to lane to lane and lane to lane with that power steering pump feeling like a damn wrecking ball. So that wasn't the answer, bro. You could drive it with all the... I know. Give me better advice than that. You know what I mean? Always a critic. But nevertheless, we made it. We made it out of there. And y'all gave me this advice after the fact. After the fact, just because you wanted to say something. I'm not talking about the ones that was giving advice. I'm talking about the ones that was making demands and talking to people like this has happened to you 20 times. We got that fixed. All right, and I was able to do Saturday and Sunday. All right, and on Saturday I decided to just walk around, see everybody, watch some of the competition and do demos, and then come back Sunday and compete since it wasn't a 4-point event. Everything you did on Saturday counted for Sunday anyway. You know what I mean? So I just made up my mind. I'm just going to go down there, watch, and then prepare myself for Sunday. Well, Sunday, after my very last run, I did all my runs after the very last run. I was pulling out to go back to the VIP to do more demos because everybody was asking for demos up there. Before I can get out of that grassy lot or that grassy field, my power steering pump, my fault. My fuel pump, my electric fuel pump died. You see the fuel filter right there you can see through? It died, and it was telling me because no gas was coming through there at all. No gas was moving at all. The ignition was turning, and I got stuck right there on that little rocky trail. And yeah, it would have been hard for cars to go around me, and some guys, people was walking by, admiring the car. It was getting out of constantly. And a couple little young mechanic guys was walking by, and they was like, hey man, demo? And I was like, oh man, it stopped running, blah, blah, blah. So these guys helped me push it into the grass. Okay? And since they were master mechanics, they mentioned they were master mechanics, bro. And they pulled out a spark plug wire, checked to see if I had spark. Yeah, I had spark. I was like, you got spark. Okay, if I have spark, then it should start. No gas is going into the fuel. And I don't have a return line on here since I put an electric fuel pump on some years ago. And granted, the electric fuel pump lasts me from 2020. I had it on since like 2020, 2021. So it lasts me for all them years, so eventually it's going to go. All right, and it's in the back. It's way in the back of the engine. So one guy climbed under the back and he touched the pump and it was iron hot. He's like, man, that pump is iron hot, bro. You got vapor lock, it vapor locked. He says, when it cools down, it should start back up. It never did. I walked away from it for a couple hours right before they started giving out the awards. It stormed and all this stuff, and it would not start. And when it wouldn't start, there was a guy with a trailer. He was like, usually when those things lock up, they're not coming back. So technically, I had plenty of time to get somebody to drive me to Advanced Auto Parts to get another one. It's just so easy to put on and right in the back. It's just mounting it on, wiring up ground and a hot and putting the hoses back on, and boom, as soon as you get the ignition, it's flooding up like Niagara Falls. But I didn't go to, I was trying to find somebody to take me to an auto parts store. And the awards were going on, so nobody was going to drive me there right then and there. So I waited until after the awards. And my two boys originally, Cedric had to leave. He had to go. He had to go home. He couldn't hang around anymore. But Kobe Griffin, one of the other guys that comes to most of our shows, I'm surprised he never asked to join our team. But anyway, he came. He was standing there, and he just said, "Hey, if you need me, call me, and I'll come back." And that's what ended up happening. You know, I asked a few other guys if they would drive me to the doggone auto parts store. They looked at me like I was talking Spanish and didn't say nothing, man. Thanks for y'all help. But anyway, Shannon and Bud offered to drive me to the auto parts store. I just had to call and make sure the part was there. Of course it is. It's an Edelbrock micro electric fuel pump. And Holly makes them too, sitting right there. And my boy Tony Dogger from Base Wars, he was going to drive me. He was going to drive me after he got his stuff all hitched up. He was offering to take me, but I called Kobe, and Kobe and them turned back around and drove 20 minutes back. You know, and Shannon and them came up with the idea for them to just meet us at the auto parts store. I just shot them the address. They drove me to there. They met me there. They came back, and they was with me the whole time. Assisted me, him and his homie. And then boom, pump went on. Kobe had a jack. He happened to have a jack. He even climbed under there with me when some stuff got lost, and you know what I mean? And they was handing me tools and all of that. So boom, as soon as I put it on, bam. I was calling that part of what everybody was calling the Slamology curse. I was like, it hit me this year. But I did make it home. It wasn't no big deal. I made it home. I got home, left on Monday like I was supposed to, and came home, and I won awards, and everything was good. Yeah, everything was good. I came home, and boom, 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 made it home Monday. Left early in the morning on Monday like I was supposed to. But right after Kobe and them got done helping me, then his headlights wouldn't work. See where I'm coming from? Okay. But that's the bad thing that happened. But I still got to run. I still had fun. I still met people. I still shook hands. I still gave demos. I gave out like 7 demos. It took me up to 39 demos for this season, bro. Everything actually went good. I lost the amp because my dumb ass lost the amp. Because it was on. If it wasn't turned on, that wouldn't have happened. These things are very sensitive, and I know everything on here is a ground. If a doggone something touched the positive and negative of the speaker wires, it's going to blow. Possibly blow if it touched the RCA, and that's where and it touched it. It had to touch that. Boom, 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 done. You just got to be careful. These are some powerful amplifiers. Like I said, I'm getting 9,000. These are the Flexes, Flex 8Ks. It's about the loudest, strongest amp I've ever ran. Powerful. It's powerful little something. And you know what I mean? But things happen, bro. Things happen. Let me shut this. Let me go back and forth and let some people know what time it is. Okay. So, you know, boom, boom, boom. It's turned upside down, but y'all see the names. Winning me awards, 824 awards to date. I'm about to get up off here. So I'm going to let y'all know what happened down there. The bad things. But the good outweighed the bad. Okay? It's your boy, the OG Soda Pop Kid. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.